Hello, hello. Hey, cuties. How's it going? We're here to bring you a sickening non binary visibility panel. My name is Alexis Atari, and on my channel, you can find drag clownery, VTubing, and, a lot of eating. I'm a hungry bitch. And with me today, I have many of my other stream queens. Stop laughing at me, Pink. The other stream queen siblings. I'd like y'all to take a moment to introduce yourself, starting with Hot Pink Shade.
Hi guys, I'm Hot Pink Shade. My pronouns are they, them. Tell me y'all can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, PlayStation, League of Legends, Valorant, all under Hot Pink Shade. And on my channel, you can find a whole lot of bullshit. Because it's a chaotic time on my channel. So, but it's still, even though it's a whole lot of chaos, you can still find a safe space as well.
Non-binary, binary, and chaos. We love it. Thank you so much, Pink Shade. Marisol, tell everyone what all you're about and what kind of content they can find you doing.
Hello, my name is Marisol Lords. I'm a Latin drag non-binary streamer, member of Team Stream Queen and Team Technicolor. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight, Fortnite. You can catch me lip syncing and just overall being pretty.
Love that. And she
Oh,
brought her own
microphone.
microphone. Come on. Come on, Marisol. They brought their own microphone. Can you even believe it? Next, we have Victoria Monroe. Hi, Victoria.
Hi. Hello everyone. My name is Victoria Monroe. I am a proud multiracial Asian trans queen here on Twitch. You can also find me, of course, here on Twitch at XO Victoria Monroe XO. You can also follow me as well, same name on Instagram, same name on TikTok. You can find me on Twitter at XO Tori Monroe XO. And you can actually find a full list of all my full socials that I can't exactly plug here on my Twitter as well.
Oh, lovely. Thanks for being here, Victoria. Next, we have Kara Couture.
Hi, you just saw me a little bit ago, but I'm back without a wig. So yeah, I'm Kara Couture. I'm a gender fluid fashion illustrator, content creator, member of Team Stream Queens, and the Queen of Draws play. We do a lot of Pokemon content, a lot of art, a lot of fashion, but also like peppered with chill vibes and topical conversation.
Wigless legend, Kara Couture. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
And last but certainly not least, one of my IRL besties, Portia Gesa. Hi, Portia.
Hello, hello, hello. My name is Portia Gesa. I am a trans non-binary legend, as is everyone else on this panel. I'm a mozzarella stick enthusiast. And on my channel, we play Final Fantasy XIV and Fortnite primarily. And I am actually also starting the Resident Evil series, playing all the way from the beginning until the most modern day, because I've never played it before and I hate zombies, so it's got to be good content. Yes.
Bitch, when you get to 6, call me. It's co-op. I want someone to play with. Let's do it. Absolutely. Well, we're here to give more non-binary visibility to content creators on Twitch, specifically with drag. And in order to get that representation going strong, let's get really in deep into it. A topic we were just sort of bringing up right before we hit live. Kind of surrounding what is it to be non-binary and how does that fall under the transgender umbrella? I was just talking with somebody last night, cute young person at the bar, and they were, I had been like, oh, I am, I'm transgender, non-binary, and they're like, oh, I feel kind of non-binary as well, but I don't want to appropriate. And I'm like, what? Appropriate anything, or I don't want to like misrepresent myself. And I was like, baby, I think you're just trans and we need to talk about it. So who would like to break the ice? Is non-binary trans? Can you be trans and non-binary? Can you be non-binary without being trans? Let's find out.
Everybody speak at once.
Sorry, there's also like I
You
forgot
know,
to turn
I
off
will-
some things. And
I
okay,
will
go.
say that I firmly believe you can be non-binary without being trans because that would be me. But to me, I think with my level of like comprehension and understanding, I think that's as most that I could really speak on personally because I don't have those experiences of a trans person who identifies as just trans person, period. I don't have that experience in life. So all I will speak on is saying that you can be non-binary without identifying as trans because that's the life I live. That's my identity. And so, yeah, like I definitely say that that's valid.
Yes, and when someone is telling you that like, hey, this is my experience, I think you should, even if you don't agree with it, even if it's not your experience, I think you should definitely listen and validate that because like, what the fuck do you know? You're not them. Like,
Is somebody in
it's
chat
their
trying to
experience.
invalidate already?
No, I'm just
Oh.
saying, girl, nobody's coming for you.
Oh no, I didn't. Well, I mean, for me, I'm like that.
No,
Here's the thing. I'm quit. Kara can tell you firsthand, bitch. Over my girls, I will fight.
Yeah.
I have no
Ready.
problem getting banned myself on anything. Do not come from my girls. And as of right now, all y'all hoes is my girls. So like, I'm the
You've
type
been
I'll fight. I will give my shit. I don't give a fuck. Don't. And I think that's why this panel today is so important too. I will say before I finally shut up, is that there's so often that we as non-binary identifying people get invalidated, whether it be by cis people, and sometimes it's happened to me. I've been told, oh, because you're not trans, you're not non-binary,
Mhm.
and it's so fucking disgusting. I think
I
that's
agree.
why I'm so ready to throw hands right now. At anyone who comes disrespectful to any of y'all.
Don't worry,
I'm
Dola
ready.
and Appa got us in chat. They'll
Yes,
do the
thank goodness
fighting
the
for
mods
us.
are the ones
Yeah.
fighting for us.
Give it up
I'll
for the
catch them
mods.
outside then. How about that?
Mhm.
But Victoria, I remember when you were like, "Hey, I'm on this panel?" Question mark. I remember you had some
Yeah.
opinions and thoughts about that, and I'd love it to hear what you have to say about that as well.
Yeah. For most of my life, obviously, I came out as I came out a couple times. I came out as bisexual, then I came out as gay question mark, and then I finally just came out as trans. So up until that point, from like 18 until like now, I've pretty much lived and identified as just trans, like just a trans woman. Um, and I never fully put too deep into the thought of like a lot of things because like for the very most important thing, like SRS, and for those who don't know, it's sexual reassignment surgery. That's something that when I first came out as trans, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to get that. I will never have to worry about tucking again. I will never have to worry about dysphoria, this, that, and the third. But then it's like, as I got older, it's like, do I really want that? Because, my sex life has changed since then. So it's like, I don't, I'm finding myself in a place where I'm like, I still feel comfortable presenting myself physically to the world as, as femme. But it's like, a lot of time behind closed doors, I don't fit into the stereotypes that, oh, well, you're a trans woman or you're a woman, period. So you need to be submissive. You need to be the one who, just shuts up and takes everything. And I'm like, no, like that's not me. Like I can be that for somebody if I really want to, but that's not me. So I've kind of found myself in a situation where I'm kind of narrowing myself as to like maybe I am non-binary because it's not like I identify like one day I identify as like male or anything like that, or I identify as strictly female. But it comes down to a fact of like, yeah, most of the times I identify as female, but I also still have a lot of tendencies that I never really explored back when before everything, started
Mhm.
changing. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm kind of just discovering things a little bit,
The
kind of giving
beauty
myself
of
a
the
little knowledge.
non-binary. Yes,
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
Literally.
yeah. I think that's kind of the fun thing. Well, I get the fun thing for me of like being like a gender fluid individual is that like it is never like a fixed state. It is a constant, perpetual. Like there are some days where I feel real high femme, and then I have some days where it's like I don't ever feel like super masked, but like there are days where I'm like okay, like, a little more tolerant towards being mask presenting on certain days.
Mhm.
But I think for me, my kind of thing with gender is that like we live in such a complex world that has all of this room for variance and gradients and diversity and range. And then if you want to boil down something like gender down to being two specific things and only two specific things to describe the experiences of billions of people is really
Mhm.
reductive, and it just is really counterintuitive, and it eliminates a lot of human experience. So I think for me, like there's so much beauty in that gray area that being non-binary and like being under that and allowing yourself to explore the non-binary side of things allows you to, get to play around with and, end up finding out, existential things about yourself.
Isn't it so great when you give yourself that permission? I
Yeah.
love that. Marisol, Portia,
Literally.
what do you have to say about all of this?
I think that my experience kind of it echoes Victoria's a little bit. I have to say, like, I was non-binary from like college to just a couple years ago, like when the Panera Bread started, and then I started identifying as a binary trans woman, and then like I've kind of been going through like a period of like, okay, well, like, there's a way that I have been finding womanhood to be a little bit limiting in a way that non-binary identity never
Hmm.
was. And then so like I've kind of leaned back towards like a non-binary femme identity, but then I've also heard other women talking about how they feel that womanhood is a limitation. So I'm kind of like I myself am kind of in a moment of flux of uh like, okay, so do is this limitation an acceptable part of who I am, or like how I want to present, or is like the freedom that I experienced as non-binary more important? I myself am in a state of flux, so I don't know if I'm super qualified to tell somebody else what non-binary means to them. But I think like I'm trying to be more okay with this uncertainty and try and like work through it and being okay with that moment. So I would say to somebody else who's maybe asking themselves that question, I don't know if it makes you feel better, but it doesn't stop. That
Mhm.
question about who are you and what's your relationship to gender, it continues and it can change. And the way I feel about myself now is totally different. And I anticipate it continuing changing because it's changing right now.
Absolutely. That was so beautiful and intimate, Portia. Thank you for sharing that with us. Marisol, I'm so curious what's going on in your head right now.
My nap that I'm waking up.
Is she awake? Are they awake?
I'm
Are they
awake.
awake?
I would say yeah. I very much I recently discovered being non-binary, but like throughout the pandemic for sure. Um, Jola, please. Uh, uh, I really like the gray area because throughout the pandemic there was a lot of mixed feelings of like who I wanted to be or how I wanted to present. Mainly also being so smothered within drag culture itself and being like a very femme presenting drag artist, it led me to thoughts of I possibly would like to transition to be a trans woman because I feel very comfortable in my own drag persona. And I didn't always feel super comfortable out of drag either. But then with being non-binary, it gave me that gray area where it's like I can be I don't really identify as male or female. And it gave me like a label without having any labels, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. I think that's for myself too. That's what drew me to it is like through doing drag, through living in San Francisco and seeing a lot of other people who are visibly queer and visibly non-binary. I started to be like, well, wait a minute. There's other options. There's like
Mhm.
something else I could do. I don't have to be a man or, like it was just this point where I started to take off the drag and people would be like, oh, I've never seen you as a boy, or like, oh, what's your boy name? And it started to make me feel weird. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not a woman, but like, not that. And so it led me to the beauty of non-binary. And for a long time, I was like, that's different than being trans. But for me personally, I feel like they're hand in hand. If you think about transgender from the perspective of the only requirement, nothing about your body, nothing about, your experience, nothing about your transitioning or not. The only requirement is to not be cis, is to not be comfortable with the gender you were assigned at birth. And that's most non-binary people. So fight me. I think non-binary people are inherently trans, but everybody's experience is different. And I think that if you were listening the last, 15, 20 minutes, you can truly see that all the people on this panel bring a totally different experience to the table that just falls within this beautiful gray area, this non-binary area, if you will. But I don't know, anyone have like a little bit more comments they want to talk about, what it means to be non-binary or what your experience has been coming to terms with the identity non-binary? I'd love to give a little bit of time for anyone that would like to still speak, and then we can move on to some more like fun stuff about non-binary visibility.
Um, my experience was actually very different. I worked for since I was actually like right before my 22nd birthday. I was hired or I was hired by this producer to be a backup dancer in a celebrity impersonation drag show. Yeah, just a backup dancer. So, but I was forced to really feel masculine, male presenting, very role. If you hear my voice, this isn't me forcing it. This is how I would sound naturally. So, being femme, being very, like, in some ways soft, very demure, and very against the grain. But that's always. So when I got fired from that company, that's when I really started to have. That's when I was kind of forced to go figure out Saturday night. I didn't have shit else to do, so I was kind of forced to be at home, either play video games or really tackle my gender identity.
Hot Pink, sweetie, really quickly, not to interrupt. Can you speak up a little bit more? I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
I don't hear that very often. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I was kind of forced to confront what I've been basically forced to put off or risk my job. And once I kind of came to terms with the fact that I'm male body, but I'm not a man. I'm not a woman either. I'm just non-binary. I am. It became so much easier for me to navigate life, even though something I think we can all resonate with is that being non-binary, just being not cis, period, comes with its own bundle, is what it is. Bundle of trials and tribulations and obstacles. just not makes sense. But I think when I started to really, you know, come to terms with my non-binary identity, it became so much easier to tackle those obstacles. But I can't lie about it though. What I wasn't prepared, something that, you know, it didn't. How do I say this? I wasn't prepared for the backlash that I got from the Black. That was something that so many friends of mine just could not help with, because I have quite a few friends that are not Black. I'm sorry, if you're not Black, I'm not coming to you. I'll vent, but I'm not asking you for your advice on how to navigate Black opinions and Black voices regarding my gender identity, because that's not your place. So that has been something that I've struggled with. It's like in the Black community, it's already seen as a taboo. Even in 2022, we're coming up on 2023, and there's still so many areas of Black culture, the Black community, that so many non-cishet people struggle. You know, I already struggle with being gay and feminine, but then my gender identity tacked onto it makes it even harder, because you're part of a systemically oppressed race that view you as a shame, as a dirty secret. So for me, it's just like, as liberating as it has been to be non-binary and admit to the world, like, that's some shit I shout proud. Trying to navigate Black spaces with my non-binary identity, it is so difficult. And it's hard. And in some cases, what I hate to admit is that sometimes it's not safe. And
Yeah.
this is
No,
why I'm thankful for my straight friends that I mentioned in yesterday's panel that I hang out with. This is why I'm thankful for them, because one of them, Jamil, who I mentioned yesterday, he messed up once. And this is something I know all of us love, is when somebody messes up, they DM and you correct them. They DM you, they apologize. He literally said, I apologize for misgendering you. I'll do better. That's the end of the fucking conversation. Not once has he fucked up. Not once. Like this.
That's a keeper.
That's
Yeah.
honey. Anyway.
No, but I think you speak on something very true that all of us experience. Obviously, not all of us navigating a Black space, but when you find this freedom and joy and being like, yes, I'm non-binary, everything makes more sense to me now. And then whatever space you're navigating is like, even sometimes trans spaces are like, but I want to put you in this tiny little gender box and like, so I can better understand who you are. And it's like, can't you just like get to know me? And like, I don't know, it's very hard to like feel so free and permitting yourself to be like, I'm non-binary, but then also so limiting to try to navigate spaces that maybe you had an easier time navigating before that, like a lot of gay spaces. Like, holy fucking shit, I can't get anybody to talk to me at all if I look just a little bit too femme in like the leather bar, you know? So
Oh yeah.
does anyone else have similar experience of like, you know, being like, yay, non-binary joy, and then you get into a space and people are like, the fuck?
Yeah, like the number of times I've had people message me on apps or talk to me in person to the club and be like, I don't know what to like think of you, because it's like the chasers like me because they think I'm a trans woman.
Right.
And then the gay men don't like me because they think I'm a trans woman. So like it's like maybe I need to unpack this, but also like
maybe
it's just it's a strange phenomenon of like the group of people that like you want to be attracted or that you are attracted to don't reciprocate, and the people you don't want interest in are the ones coming after you.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, big time. Oh yeah.
I got blankets upon blankets I want to hide under because of that shit.
Like
Uh-huh.
it's
Oh my
an
gosh.
experience. I will say though, like also like being non-binary in the drag space is really interesting, at least like for me right now, because I've only been performing like 6 months in my local scene.
Mhm.
And going into performing, I only knew one non-cis performer in my area. And now it's like all of us younger performers, almost all of us are non-binary or trans. It's very rare that we have just like a new performer who just happens to be cis. Um, so it's been interesting seeing like my drag grandmother navigate like learning stuff because she's like, I've done drag for 20 years and like this non-binary stuff is like very new for us in a lot of ways, even though um those identities have always existed. We just didn't necessarily have like the updated language for it, or we didn't have a way to like verbalize it and recognize it in the scene. So like we have like these very segmented generations that are, you know, full of cis performers or cis men, cis women if they're drag kings, but they're, you know, getting on the ball and they're, you know, like I've been times where I've gone out of drag and they've been like, "Oh, you look so cute as a boy." It's like, we're not doing that. No, 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 no. And so it's now been like, you look really cute out of drag today, or it's rare to see you out of drag. And so it's like they're learning, but they still have some ways to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't to be honest with you, like I started taking estrogen maybe, I don't know, 9 months ago because I wanted to present more feminine, and I'm finding a lot of joy in femininity, like finally permitting myself and unpacking a lot of like internalized misogyny and femphobia. And that's really awesome. But like I also very much enjoy my masculine qualities. And I've even been like, when I go to the leather bar, should I just like butch it up a little bit? Like that doesn't necessarily make me feel dysphoric, but it also feels weird to be like, I'm still putting myself in this like box or this like
Mhm.
gender markers so that other people can feel more comfortable with me, when it's like whether I'm wearing a skirt or I'm wearing like leather shorts or pants, I'm still fucking sexy.
Oh, really?
Ooh. Ooh.
Uh,
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Shall, I love this
Non-binary
space.
people are too sexy.
I know.
Too sexy, they freeze the stream.
The Wi-Fi
almost
couldn't
like-
handle it.
A Jennifer Coolidge sort of makes you want to be non-binary real bad.
Everybody do the Alexis. Oh wait, hey
Oh,
Alexis.
I've been summoned. I'm here again.
Welcome back.
It's like my internet was like, all right, wait until Alexis starts talking, then cut it.
No, they
Someone-
said you're too
Oh my
sexy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
TOS was like, no.
Someone in my chat the other day was like, there's only two types of streamers. One that have tech problems and ones that lie about it.
Very
Dang.
true. Very true. There's literally no reason my fiber internet should be cutting out like that. So welcome to the reality of streaming. Non-binary people get tech issues too. We're not perfect. Come on.
Exactly. I sit here with my wired connection that routinely goes out on stream.
Mine too. For the past month.
But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah,
You're
it's I
sexy.
don't know, like yes, thank you. Sexiest, the most gorgeous, sexiest clown you're ever gonna meet, Alexis Achari. But like, I don't know, it's weird to find this freedom that is so euphoric and joyful, and then other it's just like so limiting in the same way, and it's sad. But I think that's exactly why like we're here today, and what we need to do more of is to have visibility for not people who identify as non-binary. Like we're all very
Mhm.
different looking. We all can, like, even ourselves day to day can be very different looking. And so like I just can't get behind people that expect a gorgeous creature like myself and all of you to be like one thing. Like,
Yeah.
baby, no. Well, let's look at the list of questions, shall we? Let's bring up some other topics. You know what? Something I've been very curious about, like for me, doing my jumping into VTubing and making my virtual avatar specifically be femme and have a beard to just give more visibility to that. And I did a tweet one day, and I was like, you know what other like fantasy characters are femme and have beards? And so many people responded. They were like, oh, you know, like gnome women have beards all the time. There's this character from this video game. There's this character from that video game. I'm curious, like when it comes to either like media, especially video games, we love that here on Twitch. Where was some of the first times you remember seeing someone or something and it was just like, you know, like gender queer or non-binary or that sort of representation? I think for myself, it would have to be Final Fantasy IX, Kuja, the villain in Final Fantasy IX. Very queer, but also like masculine and villainous, you know, queer coded villains could be a whole nother panel. But I just remember seeing that and being like, oh, it's something different, you know? How about any of y'all? When was the first time, or maybe you haven't, where would you like to see more non-binary visibility?
I think I would have to say, going back to Pokemon panel, Jesse and James from
Yeah.
Pokemon,
Good.
like
Word. Seriously.
non-binary bisexual legends. You know, they're dressing up. You know, Jesse's always going to be the more mask. James is going to be the one wearing a dress or something like that. You know, Meowth being just like this, like wisecracking, like even like they gave him like a masculine voice in the dub, but you know, it's still sort of like a cat, you know, a masculine cat when a cat is traditionally a feminine sort of thing. Team Rocket, I think, was the first time I saw something beyond this established binary.
Yeah, I think for me, it was looking back, probably like Zelda from Ocarina of Time, like because of Sheik. Like that was one of the first times where, as a kid, it was like, oh, like she can be this like kind of more masculine presenting ninja, but she can also be very high femme and be this lovely princess who saves the world, you know? So it's like she can contain multitudes of gender expressions within one body. And so I think that like for me, like looking back, that had a really big impact on me. And I didn't really realize that until a few years ago. But also for like modern stuff, I mentioned this during the indie game showcase last year, but Rainbow Billy, it's this very cute like rubber hose art style. Paper Mario, a little Undertale in a way, but the player character Billy is canonically non-binary, so you play the game through the lens of being like a non-binary child. And the way that the story is like recontextualized when you finish the game, I think anybody who's non-binary should play it. It's very wholesome. Does lots with mental health too. It's written very well, but yeah,
What
just
was it
like,
called again?
so it's Rainbow Billy, the Curse of the Leviathan. But it's really sweet, and just like playing it as an adult, like it was the exact type of game that as a kid I would have loved. And so getting to play something that like I know like 7-year-old me would have really connected with, and getting to experience it through like an adult lens is like getting to kind of like heal that inner child a bit that didn't get to express a lot of that gender stuff until I was much older. So
Absolutely. That's so wonderful. Anyone else care to share where you, if you can't think of anything, where you would like to see more non-binary visibility to? For me personally, it's in MMOs. They always allow like different body combinations, different fantasies, different species, different, you know, like in Elder Scrolls Online, you can even wear like dresses as a man or whatever, but still it's always gender locked. It's always, you got to make a choice. And I have very few MMOs do I see it's like, I think it was Monster Hunter. They were like, do you want body A or body B? It wasn't male or female. And then you could kind of like mix and match beards and like everything else, which I was like, oh, that's nice. They're getting there. But I don't know. I would love to see more of that in video games. Like non-binary is not the third option, but a third option.
Mhm.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
I think for me, not exactly non-binary. I think they're all cis, but it's still a good representation.
Can you speak up a little bit again, sweetie?
I hate this fucking phone. Okay.
Loud, please.
Outside voice.
Unless you want to pick me up from the hospital after my mother killed me, I think not. Um, I think even though they were cis, it was a good representation of Black femininity and masculinity. For me, it was Noah's Ark, the TV show.
Ooh.
For me, that
Mm,
was everything I fucking needed. It was it
yes.
showed, even though again I think they were cis. It was also the first time that I got to see in any kind of mainstream media the hot. Because remember, there was our 4 Black gay men that were the main characters.
Yep.
It was the first time in one of the episodes that the slut of the group, he owned his own clothing store, and he hired this beautiful ass new associate. And the associate ended up falling for the hyper femme, I think non-binary or trans homegirl of Ricky. Ricky is the one of the, but Ricky was heavy. He was down bad for this associate. And the associate, he saw his associate making like kissing, having a first kiss with one of like somebody he was friends with, and it was one, and the person who was, the associate was kissing was this, like I said, non-binary or trans. I don't, I, I don't remember exactly how the character identified, but for me, it was the first time that I saw somebody like myself, but it's very femme, very not cis. They were the apple of somebody else's eye. Like, and it wasn't like, this kiss happened in a secret location. Like, the person was headed to their car with a rack of clothes, but the camera cuts to that person. It cuts to her kissing the associate, and not a very secretive way at all. And for me, it was just like, that's what I need as a young Black person, to really show that, there is femininity in the world, that is okay and beautiful. And there are people out there that the world sees that are going to see that exact same beauty that the world sees in them. They're going to see it. That sex appeal that the world glorifies them for, they're going to see it. Your non-binary identity, it's just going to add to it, actually. Your femininity, it's going to add to it. Everything that the world tends to tell, it was a sign. Everything the world says is wrong with you, aside from being Black, there are going to be people out there who feel that is what adds perfection.
Mhm.
And so for me, Noah's Ark Jump in the Broom, which was the movie because I got
Yes.
married and shit. I was like, ooh, I can have a wedding too. Okay.
I had completely forgotten about that show, and you mentioned it, and I was
Love it.
like the Bible, and then you kept talking.
Yeah, I
and
thought that
was
too.
like, no, not that one. And
You
I
guys
Y'all
are-
are monsters.
that
Listen,
show-
I grew up with only 4 TV channels. I grew up with ABC, ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS, and I was a public access television child. So
that
if
show
it
got
wasn't
dropped.
on that channel, I probably don't know about it.
We should have had 6 more seasons of that show, please.
Yes.
When's Netflix? When's the revival? Please.
Please.
What's the
And Daryl Stevens be looking bomb as fuck nowadays. Anyway, it's almost as if that man ain't aged a fucking day.
Oh,
Mhm.
speaking of, did any of y'all see the Queer as Folk reboot? I thought Okay, you're all shaking your head. No, you're like, no, it already got
No.
canceled, I guess. But like, there was a little bit more. Like, I don't know if you've seen the original Queer as Folk. That's just like not. I
Mhm.
mean,
I
it
haven't
has
seen
They're
it,
time.
but
so
yeah.
yeah, it's like all
Where
white.
does
people.
You mean
It's all white gays. No, like, no.
you mean the
no
box set?
queerness.
I keep just pulling things out of my ass. But I said,
I'm coming over. We're having a marathon.
And like not even just like oh I have the box set at the ready. At the ready.
I think
Just there. Ready to go at a moment's notice. Love that.
First time I ever watched that show was like I think must have been like 15 or 16 in my friend's living room while her mom was home. And it was because my mother was like, "Oh, I heard about this show. You should watch it, maybe. It's about gay people." And I'm like, "Sure." And then I get to that first scene where like he's about to rim Justin or whatever. And I was like, I turned it off immediately. I was like, maybe another time, not in your mom's living room.
I don't think I've
But
seen
like
any show.
that's
Mhm.
like that was the only visibility to anything queer that I had as a kid at that age. And like I'm so glad we're all here today for the many people of all ages viewing us that can see that we at least exist, you know? Because it wasn't like that
Mhm.
even 20 years ago. 10,
Mhm.
20, 10. I'm not that old. 10 years ago. Shit.
And I
We
feel
are
like
talking
not
main media, right?
What do you mean? No, what?
Like, I mean, just like inspiration. We're talking mainstream media, right? And like for our inspiration,
I
or
mean, it doesn't have to be, but like I think it's important to talk about like where other non-binary people can see themselves represented in mainstream media, you know?
oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, if we're not talking mainstream media, I sent you a TikTok, Alexis,
Oh, you did. Yes.
about for me as a because not only am I black, I'm also Hawaiian. I did the API panel yesterday. Child, I been knew about like gay people, trans, bless you, gay people, trans people, non-binary people since I was a child. Like,
Mhm.
but if you're talking about mainstream media, then okay.
No, I mean that's something I also wanted to bring up. I'm so glad you brought it up. Is that like this non-binary space is not new and it's been erased by white supremacy and colonialism, like period. And like it hurts all of us, but especially people who have connections to that history and culture that has always, revered people who are non-binary and genderqueer. And like the Western European white world just doesn't have a history of that. And sometimes I think like what a shame that like what a fucking shame, what a disappointment and a lost opportunity that like people wanted to erase this beautiful thing instead of like telling the story and the history and the culture. So I'm so glad you shared that with me, Hot Pink Shade. And I'm so glad like those stories are starting to come out more now too.
Yeah, like being like it always puzzled me, my because when my tutu or grandmother, when she was alive, she was even my mother told me that when the ultrasound came back, and yes, my dick was poking out when in the ultrasound. Even despite all of that, my grandmother was sticking to her guns. Told my mom, I don't give a fuck what that damn ultrasound says. That is not a boy. That is not a boy. Period.
and lo and behold.
Lo and behold, my mama got a little drag queen.
Just popped out, wig heels, everything at once.
Doing a little flossy.
She dipped on
You
her way
know.
out.
And I think the only reason my mom struggled with my I think my thing that my mom struggled with is being a single mother, not being black, raising a black child. She knew the struggle that we face in black. I think my mom really was hoping that I like a little soldier boy or whatever because she wanted me to struggle as little as possible. I had one of them mamas who she loved me for me. She just didn't want me to struggle. She wanted me to be as safe as
Right.
possible. So I can't fault my mama too much. Um, but you know, from childhood, I knew about people being two spirit, and I knew that I was more different than just me being girly and whatnot. You know, preschool, I was the only boy body person in the whole school that didn't have cooties. You know, and just I
What a
had a
brag.
history. I had a history lesson when I was like 4, 5, and 6 years old. You know, I was super fucking. In a way, like I consider myself a bit more privileged than a lot of other people because I had, you know, you know how we talk about the older generation, which are grandparents and great grandparents. Nah, my grandmama, hell no, you couldn't tell her shit about nothing. She didn't have no grandson, she had a grandchild.
Ugh,
She didn't have no granddaughter, she had a grandchild. She
ugh.
tried me girl clothes. My
My
grandmama
heart.
knew. She bought me girl baby clothes. It was always gonna be pink, purple, yellow, everything. Ain't no blue up in this motherfucking house. Who the fuck you think you is? Nah, that that was what I grew up with from the older generation. And because of that and that kind of upbringing and that kind of relationship I had with my grandmother, I think that has translated to, you know, nowadays when people talk about their grandparents or my partner talks about their grandparents and how they're old school minded. And I'm like, that's where the whole I don't give a fuck respect me or it's going to be a problem. Because my grandmother was born in 1925 and would not accept grandson and would not accept granddaughter. You can't tell me shit about nothing. If people from older than your grandparents can learn, knew better, then what the fuck is the problem?
Mhm.
100%.
Yes, and
I was like, because we've had conversations about this before.
You and
like,
I
with my
totally have.
grandparents.
Like,
So
child, I can tell you right now, Victoria and Marisol, oh, my grandmama would love y'all, child. No offense to Portia, Kara, and Alexis, but y'all white looking. So
I am white. It's confirmed.
Oh my
Victoria
goodness.
and my grandmama would have seen brown skin, and y'all would have been. My grandmama was like, Velcro, you fuck with her, you stuck with her. So it's
I love that. No, it's really amazing to me. Like I've had a very similar experience with my family. Like, you know, when I came out as binary trans to my family, my grandparents, my two living grandparents, got it immediately. You know, they like one night, well, one day I went over to their house for lunch and they're like, oh, feel, because they speak Portuguese, you know, they're like, oh, feel, and I'm like, oh, no, diz fila, you know, say girl instead. And they have not made a single mistake. I showed up to our family Thanksgiving celebration a couple weeks ago, and my own godmother was calling me he. All my cousins were calling me he. My dad and my grandmother and grandfather just sat there and called me she and a woman all night. Like, you know, there's really no fucking excuse.
there's none.
There really is no excuse. You know, people they're like, oh, it's a different generation. Oh my God, it's so hard to get used to. Oh my God, it's just, oh, I'm so sorry. You're gonna hate me. I just always forget. Oh, I'm gonna no, bitch.
Oh.
These people
If
were
they can
alive.
learn, if they
Yeah.
can learn how to use an iPad to play a game, they can learn how to respect something other than a straight man or a straight woman. Get the
Yes.
fuck out of my
My-
fucking face.
My grandparents fled for their lives in the middle of the night
That,
during a war, and they get it. So get it together.
get your shit together, Mary.
yeah. Like I will say, like before I did the first panel that I was on today, my mom came downstairs while I was getting ready and she was like, I just want to warn you, the Christmas card that I got you says son, but I looked for anything that was neutral and I'm crossing it out and I'm gonna put something else there. But she was like, I just don't want you to think that I'm not respecting it. And it was
Greeting
I was like-
cards. We
I was
need
like,
more
she's getting there.
visibility there for sure. Greeting cards.
That's where
we
we'd like
need-
to see more representation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Marisol, yes.
Mhm.
Hallmark,
Hallmark.
get on it. Like,
Well, we got about 10 minutes left in the panel, and I want to make sure we got time to answer a Q&A from the audience. And I think, you know, we're kind of talking about already. Pink Shade and Portia, thank you for sharing those like heartfelt moments with your family, I feel like those have to be moments of euphoria for you when somebody you love and someone who's your blood is like validating who you are. But a question from the audience is what are things that we do in our day-to-day life that help you experience gender euphoria? For me, I mean, I grew my hair out. My hair
Yep.
under this wig is very long. Like it was something I don't know, like it was something just so euphoric for me, and it's just like every day that I just see that my hair is like a little bit longer and more feminine. For me, it and wearing earrings was something I started to do a lot just to like feel better, you know? So it doesn't have to be like cinched waist, pads, wig, lashes, like to get the full like feminina euphoria experience. Like pick and choose what you like and just start incorporating that into your life is what I would say. How about y'all?
Taking my antidepressants helps. Uh, that's sort of a catch-all for everything. You know, it's a shame because I don't have them done right now. But like for me, my nails, I almost always have my nails done. We're going through a little bit of a
Oh, Portia, I get it. Portia, trust me, I get you. I get
don't
you.
look at them right now. But normally
These
I have a
nut
full
ass.
set, and it makes me feel so powerful. That sort of femininity is that's my favorite. I think my nails.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Mine is definitely like also my hair because like I have really thick hair, and so growing up getting it cut really short when I was in show choir in high school because I had to look like one of the boys, even though I sang a female vocal part. I had to um you know, I had to constantly deal with the women in the hair salon being like, God, it's such a shame you weren't born a girl because you have such pretty hair. And so I was like, you know what? Let me grow it out and see how I like how that feels. And then like the longer it got, the more I was like, oh, this is kind of a moment. Like, let's keep this. And so like even if I, you know, have been like going through like a big like work thing or I've been really busy and haven't been able to like shave or like really present myself as I would normally like to. I know my hair is still there. And so it's like that's my little way of like clinging on to whatever I still have left, even on days where I don't have time to like really present myself the way I'd like to be presented.
I relate with that 100%. Um, Obviously growing my hair out also made me feel a little gender euphoria. Because even to this day, like has been so much time putting on some type of makeup, even an ounce of makeup just to cover up, you know, the 5 o'clock shadow, the under
Mhm.
eyes, all that. But I've grown to just say fuck it. Like I just feel comfortable just now. Yeah, I'll shave, but I'm not putting on a makeup. Like, and there's many times where like a grinder hookup will try to like, oh yeah, you wanna do this and that? Oh yeah, can you wear this? I'm like, no. I'm like, if you want to get all that, that's the booking fee because I'm not doing all that. Like, I don't know you.
That's
You don't
Cheers.
know me. Like, that's not gonna happen. Like,
right.
but yeah, like
My
definitely
answer
like
is
my
always, you
hair,
want to wait
everything.
5 hours? You really want to
Yeah,
wait five
like call me
hours?
back in like
Yeah.
5 hours when I have enough time to prep. Like,
Right.
maybe we'll do something.
Also, who finds? I'm sorry. If someone finds drag sexual, you've never done drag, girl.
Yes.
This is cutting into my skin so much. I have about 20% visibility because of these contacts and these lashes. I'm sweating. If you find what?
And makeup is
Makes it anonymous.
expensive.
Yeah.
It is
Marisol, yes.
expensive.
And you want me to smear it? Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a paint by picture.
Um, I would say too, one of the things that I try to do that makes me feel euphoric is find more amazing people like all of you and hang out
Yeah.
with you. You know, we have our own little hangout space in the Discord to like just chill and voice chat or whatever. And you know, a lot of Discords and stuff have that space. So where you can find and seek out community, please do so. That is definitely
Yes.
hopefully going to lead to some euphoria. Not a tried and true method, but
I
um,
think when it comes, if I may,
yeah.
mine is simple.
And we got to
Better
just so you know, we
euphoria.
gotta do our closing statement soon. So
Yeah.
less comment.
Honestly, to add to my gender euphoria, I fucking breathe.
Fucking what?
Breathe.
Yeah.
Cause fuck it.
Breathe.
I didn't
Cream?
go, breathe.
Breathe.
Breathing
That
gives
one
me
doesn't
gender
hurt.
euphoria. No,
Yeah.
I said, you gotta pick up that phone so that microphone don't get covered.
child, that's what it is. But yeah, no, I breathe. That's my gender
Oh.
euphoria. Cause goddamn it, I breathe in black. I breathe in Hawaiian. I breathe in non-binary. You better fucking believe it. Like I don't catch hell from motherfuckers who don't pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
I don't catch hell from them to just go back to having them live in my head rent free.
Period.
So what do I do to help my gender? I take a breath. I use up oxygen. That is what I'm using, right?
Yeah. I think that goes back to like the whole statement of like, I mean, it can be applied to any marginalized identity, really, but like any sort of joy or existence for us is resistance, and
Yes.
that's the most fun part about it for me, is that like, I'm living my best life, doing my thing, and I know somebody out there is mad about it, but I don't care.
Let me
because-
give them a reason to be mad.
exactly. It'll age them
Uh,
faster.
If you stay alive for no other reason, please do it for spite.
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, if you find, I'm with Portia. Do it as a huge fuck you to your enemies.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, we're at the end of our panel. I'd love to keep hanging out with you all night, but we got to do our closing statements. I'd love it if you could all remind people how fabulous you are, where they can find you, and what you're all about. Starting with Miss Portia Gesa.
Absolutely. So I'm Portia Gesa. I stream mostly Final Fantasy 14 and Fortnite, but I'm going to be absolutely shameless and not to detract from the con. But in just a little bit, I will be starting my Resident Evil playthrough just a few minutes later tonight. And I do some VTubing as well. But if you love mozzarella sticks and the occasional cocktail, come by and say hello.
Yeah.
I'll be by. Victoria, where can people find you next?
Y'all can find me here on Twitch at XO Victoria Monroe XO. You can also follow me somewhere, Instagram, TikTok. Only difference is Twitter is XO Victoria Monroe XO. And also I will be part of the digital drag show tomorrow. So tune in for that.
Loves it. Kara, how about you?
Yeah, so you can find me at twitch.tv/caricature. I know the H is silent, it's sneaky, but it's still there. But you can find me playing Pokemon Scarlet right now, Mondays and Tuesdays, doing some shiny hunting for a seasonal holiday hunt that I'm doing. We're going to be continuing my Pokemon Ultra Sun playthrough on Wednesdays for my Whatever She Wants Wednesdays playthroughs. And then on Saturday, we're going to start doing art again on stream. So get excited for some Pokemon fashion illustrations. So.
Love that. Marisol, how about you? What's on the docket, as they say?
Hi, Marcel Lords.
On the mic.
Latin, non-binary. I do a lot of lip syncs with this mic, without the mic. I play Dead by Daylight. I play Fortnite, horror story games on occasion, and actually, you can just catch me all around just being pretty. Sitting
Pretty
here being
bitch.
pretty.
As always.
So pretty. And last but not least, Hopping Shade.
Hello. Once again, I'm Hot Pink Shade. Mahalo nui loa for coming through and hanging out with these non-binary icons with me and stuff. I can be caught playing. God, what the fuck do I play nowadays? Genshin Impact, Overwatch. Oh god, I'm a cool gay now. I'm starting to play more Dead by Daylight.
It is a Scream Queen's requirement.
Well, then I guess I'm getting kicked off the team.
You have to
too.
play
Same.
it once a year, minimum.
Off-boarding committee.
Oh no, my scam, it's ended.
I may actually start doing more live streams at some of the shows that I perform at. I'm right after this. I have to leave So I may actually stream my performances tonight. So who knows?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Alexis Atari. I'm the most gorgeous clown you're ever going to meet, the worst Jennifer Coolidge impersonator out there. And you can find me on Thursdays doing VTubing because I have a full addiction to Genshin Impact. And every Friday I do drag makeup to feel the fantasy. This has been the Stream Queens Con 3 non-binary visibility panel. And y'all are so freaking awesome for being here. Seek out a non-binary person today and tell them how hot they are. Bye-bye.
Bye.